Hi, it's Friday the 13th, and no, I'm not going to do some lesson on the history of Friday the 13th. I'm pretty sure you'll get that somewhere else. Um, it's pretty widely available if you Google it. So today I want to do something that's not so easy to recognize or understand, and that's going to be the difference and the reasons behind suffering. We are still going to do the series on John 17. I want you to have plenty of time to read it, get familiar with it, because we will be doing sort of a deep dive, or really getting into it, you know, understanding of that prayer, and it's that important. But today, suffering. A little bit of back info. 10 years ago, my kidneys were shut down then due to contrast dye and the conflict involved with metformin as a diabetic that I used to be. If you were type 2 diabetic, you would be familiar with metformin, and you may be familiar with the dangers behind some of the dyes that are used in the medical field, because some of them can cause renal failure. On top of that, about a year after that, I had to have emergency surgery on my neck. I currently have 2 rods and 8 screws in my neck holding it together. That was from a severe traffic accident in my 20s, to where doctors were surprised I was even alive at that point. That kind of suffering I went through is what I call God's beneficial suffering, because there's 2 types of suffering: one that God allows, and the other that would be clearly a spiritual attack. Here's the difference: the ones that God allows, or there's technically all of them, but they all serve the same purpose, and that is to draw you closer to Him. He allowed that 10 years ago to draw me closer. I was not living for Him at the time, not even close. I was so much in my flesh, so much into partying. I was a heavy metal vocalist. I was doing albums. I was doing guest spots on other people's albums. I was really running around and just living for myself at that point, just enjoying what life had to offer. And my wife and I, we had a good time during that time. Life was good in a very worldly way, but that changed after that. Um, I could no longer do those things. My body would fail. I couldn't be on stage for 2 hours a night, or push myself like I used to, because of the spinal injury I ended up with. And yeah, that kind of sucks. But in the end, it brought me closer to the Lord, and in that I'm thankful. And that's tough to deal with, being this broken, and being thankful for it. Sometimes it's hard to grasp. I get that. But then there's what's happened over this past year. See, I had already had my time during the day for prayer, Bible study, meditation. I was already back with God, and very close. And then came this recent spiritual attack. The difference is, did it bring me closer? Of course. You get closer to God. It's funny how suffering and pain will do that. If you're familiar with God, man, it will bring you come running back to Him begging for help. Funny how that works. But it's true. And that may be why He allows so much suffering in this world, is so that people draw closer to Him, that they become familiar with Him and walk better with Him than they did prior. And if you look at it honestly in that way, it's a benefit. It's a good thing. It will assure your existence in the Lamb's Book, and will also help you reach heaven, which is the goal. But on top of that, spiritual attacks, you do get closer to God. Now, why would He allow it? To strengthen your faith, to help you learn things that you wouldn't have learned otherwise. And that's a lot of things that we struggle with. I know I am now with dialysis, my heart problems, and losing my wife, having COVID, having lost all of my worldly possessions, and really been struggling. See, financial struggle has never been tough for me. When you yourself are poor, and always had been, then money comes in, you just play with it. You have a lot of fun with it. but it doesn't really affect your day-to-day life. You still live prudently. You still live on a basic what you need to get by type of mentality, even though you get a little crazy with it at times. But the thing is, it's your health, man. You can't just buy that back. That doesn't work. So looking at everything I've been through these last few months, this isn't suffering on God's behalf to make me closer to Him, and it's going to end up that way, and it has. Praise be to God that it has. But most of the time it's spiritual. The enemy comes at you, Satan, Lucifer, his cronies. They're coming after you for some reason. You may never know that reason, or you may find out one day what that reason is, and I hope you do. But whatever the reason, you're being spiritually attacked. It's not for the main purpose of drawing you to God in the first place. That does happen. But it does deepen your walk with the Lord. It does get you further into things. So God does use these for your benefit, not His. He benefits nothing. It's all for you. Okay? And that's where we lose track. We get so caught up in God. Why do you let this happen? Why me? Without realizing, because you need it. It is for you. It's to draw you closer. It's to get you a closer walk, a closer relationship, to learn how to have faith and trust in Him, learn how to have some patience in His timing, things like that you must learn for the hereafter, for the rest of eternity while we serve Him. Because it's not going to be any different. His time is His time. His will is His will. What His word is His word. It's going to be that way for eternity. You might as well start getting used to it. And you don't have to like it. It's like I told my daughter when she was growing up. There are things in this life you don't have to like, but you're going to have to do it. The difference is being, as you get closer to God, the enemy will attack you. They will come after you. They want to try to sever that relationship and push you away using the mentality of, God, why do you let this happen to good people? Why do you allow this suffering in the world? Because they want your fleshly human mentality to kick in, and that will separate you from God. That will push you away. It's the flesh, hence Christ saying, crucify the flesh daily. That means take the fleshly thoughts, throw them away. Don't even listen to it. Push them out. Stay close to God, okay? And if you have questions or wondering about things, please, kick it over in the comments. I'll be more than happy to discuss it, either privately or through a video or even in the comments themselves. I'm not afraid. There's no fear here. Only love. I love y'all. And if I can help you, please let me. So be at peace and be blessed. And go be a blessing.